Number three I have here is salary, and this one is probably the best defined by Kevin O'Leary's famous quote: "A salary is a drug they give you to get you to forget your dreams." Um, I remember when I was a salary guy back in the day in my 20s. What did they start me at? $1,600 a month, was it, or every 2 weeks? I can't remember, but it was more than enough to pay my rent, buy my groceries, and go out and do stuff and put gas in my motorcycle and hang out with my friends and take out girls. It was fine. But it wasn't going to get me, the German sports cars that I saw the managers driving. It certainly wasn't going to get me the Mercedes SL 500 I saw the owner of the company driving, or any of the other, extravagant trips he was taking and stuff like that. But you kind of level up, and you go get a raise, and you get $1,850 a month, and you go up to 2,500, and it's 4,000. It's like it doesn't really change the bar that much, because you don't think outside of any boxes. You're still coloring within the lines. You're crossing your T's. You're dotting your I's, because even though you got paid today, in 2 Fridays time, you're going to have another deposit for the exact same amount after withholding taxes and employment insurance deductions and blah 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 and all that sort of stuff. And it just gets you comfortable. It's literally exactly what Kevin O'Leary says. It's a salary is a drug they give you to get you to forget about your dreams. Do you guys want to top up on that, or anything you guys want to add?
Yeah, I mean, it gets people used to and conditioned to, right? This certain limit that's set, right? Where it's like, hey, do a good job, work really hard, put more in here, and then maybe we might bump you up from a 4% raise, maybe to like a 5 or 6% raise, right?
Ooh.
So, which, right, if you're looking at the current rate of inflation, right, it's just one of those things where you're not keeping pace.
Now I can take that catamaran trip when I do my Cuba vacation next time.
Yeah, well, it's a trade-off between what is perceived as security and comfort versus economic opportunity.
Right.
But we've moved away from the security and comfort that a salary provides. So there was a time, many decades before my time, where people got things like pensions, and companies offered a pretty comfortable deal, which made it was a pretty solid incentive, right, for people to take that salary or that fixed hourly, let's say, in doing shift work somewhere or whatever it may be. And they could also afford more on that. Like if you look at the 1950s or 60s, what you could afford on the dollar versus today. My mom will tell me about some sort of sweet, but then they weren't classic cars, but they are classic cars today, that she was able to buy for, less than 2 G's, $2,000. And our inflationary rate, you can't buy the things on a single income in a fixed salary situation that you could have. And not only that, companies do not have the loyalty to employees the way that they had before. So the paradigm shifted. So if you're hoping for a salary for security, depends on what you're doing, right? Because there's certain things like engineering, for example, where it's a specialized trade, but even engineers are smart enough to know that they're there and it's an exchange between this company and them. And if that exchange becomes uneven, or if they get a better deal somewhere else, they'll fulfill their obligation, but move to that other thing. And then companies are going to do what is the best deal for them. It's no longer, you're almost an independent contractor now within these companies. So you have to look at it like that. And people who are caught up in that old paradigm, and it's usually people who are government type workers, came from military, right? And that idea of, well, I just show up and I get the same money every 2 weeks or whatever.
Didn't we have a conversation one time? You said that your mom wanted you to be a teacher.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
One
sure
of the
she still
things
does.
that you touched on there that I want to go back to was the whole rate of inflation, because you're talking about cars back in the day, and like I remember, like one of my favorite cars is like a 1970 Boss 429 Mustang with a big ass hood scoop and all that shit. And those things were maybe like $3,500 back then. Today you can't buy them for less than $200,000. Right?
Yeah,
like that's what inflation looks like. But back to that point, the way that it ties into a salary is something they give you to get you, forget about your dreams. Even if you're getting a standard pay rise, which in most companies is usually based on performance, a couple of percent all the way up to 5% if you're an exceptional performer. the rate of inflation is so high right now. I mean, we were talking about this earlier on the Zoom call this afternoon, but you know, with some things like produce, it's as high as 30%. But they're saying the average is whatever 7, 8, 9%. Who the hell knows what it really is? I mean, you always find out months afterwards. But if the rate of inflation goes up and your salary is pretty much the same, you're losing money. I mean, you're losing buying power, right? And the cool thing about being an entrepreneur is it's like having a volume knob. It's like, oh, I need a little bit more volume. I'll just turn that up. You need a little bit more income. You want to pay yourself a little bit more. You just turn it up, whenever you need it. You don't need it. You can turn it back, right?
Well, you can find ways to do it. That's the difference. Whereas I can't find a way if I'm working with someone else and that's my only source, other than waiting for a raise or something later.
The other thing a lot of people don't factor into is the amount of freedom and flexibility, where it's like when I was coming up, right, I knew guys that were making $450,000 a year. And they had far less freedom of time than I had when I was making way less. And so it's like, they were like, man, I wish I could enjoy like all this extra capital I'm making, but we're working crazy long hours. We're doing this, that, the other. And so that's a big thing you have to factor in with your salary as well, as the trade-off between, how much you're bringing in, but also how much time you have free and available to you. So
inflation's
for me,
a motherfucker. Like the price of gas here has doubled in the last 2 years.
Well,
when the pandemic first hit, it was like 99 cents a liter. Now it's close to $2 a liter.
Well, to give you an historical example, in 1960, 20 US dollars had the buying power of about 125 US dollars in 2019. Right. So that should show you right there where right in the 60s, $20, woo, you could do quite a bit with it. And then now, if you need $125, which is probably more close to like $140 now, to have that same amount of buying power.
Yeah, there's us, and then there's them, and they have figured out how to exploit you. Trust us. Hey guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that short clip. If you did, consider supporting the creation of content by checking out my supplement line. Pinned in the top comment below of this video in the comments, there's a link to the unpluggedalpha.com/shop. When you click through, you'll be able to land over here, and the entire lineup is broken down by category that it performs best in: estrogen metabolism, fat burning, your foundational essentials for health, immune health, performance, and testosterone support. If you check out with coupon code ALPHA10, you'll get 10% off on your first order. There's also the option to use the subscribe and save model, where regular shipments will be sent over to you on a regular basis, and that gives you a little bit of a discount, and your supplement facts are always broken down over here. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome day. And again, check out that link. It's pinned in the top comment below in this video. Peace out.